Jenny, can you tell me your goal in coming here today?
I've been dealing with a lot of stress in my life, and so I just needed someone to talk to that about and just try to figure it out so I can solve that problem in my life.
Okay. And if you didn't have this stress in your life and you had it figured out, what would that look like?
I just feel like I can't really enjoy life and go through a lot of just enjoy life in general because I always have these things weighing me down.
And so if you weren't weighed down by these stressors that are in your life, what would your life be like without them?
I think I'd be able to make healthier relationships with people because I wouldn't be so focused on myself and just trying to solve everything.
Okay. Has there been a time before now that you felt like you've had healthier relationships and you weren't so stressed about things going on in your own life?
I feel like it's been an ongoing thing for many years, and I think as I'm getting older, I just don't really know how to cope with it, so it just keeps kind of getting worse. Okay.
What are some ways that you have been able to cope in the past with this issue of stress and affecting relationships?
Well, I usually try to exercise a lot and spend time in the sunshine and sleep and like read Proverbs, but sometimes it's just hard to, physically I try to overcome it, but the problems are still there kind of thing. And so it helps me somewhat mentally, but not completely. So that's why I'm here.
For sure. Those are some great ways that you have been able to identify to cope with stress. And so I really want to commend you on, you listed off like 5 things right there. How did you choose those things?
I've gone to like different seminars to help with stress, and I've tried to read books about it, just try to be proactive about it in my life.
That is wonderful. That must have been maybe a little awkward of a decision to go and look at seminars and reading books on stress, because not everyone does that. So that's really great that you've been able to identify those resources. So when you're able to exercise more and get more sunshine, sleep more, maybe read Proverbs or read some of those other materials that have been helping you, how specifically will you be planning that out, or how will you be doing that?
I just try to throw it into my daily routine and kind of make it, instead of something sporadic, just try to do it every day.
Okay.
So
routine helps you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Routine helps me. And I guess what's stressful is sometimes the unexpected, and just how to cope with that, because I'm very, routine.
Yeah. Well, I found it interesting you said that this stress and having just ongoing maybe stress and anxiety and it affecting your relationships has been for a while, but you've also been identifying for a while these things that you can do in a routine to help you. So if you can look at those as parallels, maybe you've already taken some steps towards alleviating the stress and finding ways that are helpful to you, while at the same time it's still been a problem for you. So you have been making steps in the right direction, and I think that's really good. Let me just try a little exercise with you. It may seem a little bit strange, but I'm going to build a pretend story and then ask you some questions about how you would be acting in that scenario, okay? Okay. Let's say that you go on with the rest of your day. You maybe go and exercise after we finish with our session, and you go to the grocery store and you buy your dinner and you have all the things that you need for that, and you come home and you make dinner and maybe eat your dinner and watch a little TV afterwards, and you're feeling relaxed, you're not feeling too stressed, and then you go to bed and you have a really great sleep. It's a deep sleep and you're peaceful, and then in the night a miracle happens and your your stress is gone. You don't have anxiety, and everything is better. The problem that you're seeing is disappeared for you. What would that look like for you? What would be different about that when you woke up the next morning?
Like my feelings, or just what would have caused me to not?
Well, how would you know that the problem was disappeared? How would you feel? What would you do?
Well, my parents are going through stuff, and so they're usually the ones that kind of put it on me. So I guess if I would be talking to them the next day, they wouldn't have those issues to talk to me about. That would be different. And that's pretty much the core issue. And maybe I would have I would know where I was heading in life with like my future schooling and stuff. Just like direction.
What would your friends maybe notice was different about you if you weren't stressed and you didn't have this problem in your life?
I think I'd be a little more carefree and not as like type A, trying to get stuff done all the time and trying to fix problems.
You just mentioned your parents. What would your parents notice was different about you if you weren't being affected by this stress anymore?
I don't know. I don't think they would really notice anything. Maybe I'd be a little more... I don't see them often, so...
Okay. All right. What parts of fixing this stress, you said you'd be more relaxed about school, you'd be a little more carefree and happy. What parts of that have you been able to do so far?
Well, I try to just, go through all my days and just try to realize that my problems, the future will come eventually, and I shouldn't be so worried about the future. But usually I still end up worrying about it.
Okay, so you said you've been trying to have a positive outlook and just think the future is going to take care of itself and not worry so much. That's really great. How have you been able to make yourself think that way?
Well, I've seen that, the things that I was stressed about, before, they actually ended up kind of solving themselves. So I see that from the past, that you shouldn't worry about the future because it kind of just comes and
it works itself out.
You kind of deal with it, yeah.
That's really neat that you're able to have that perspective even if you're stressed. What about a time recently when you haven't really been bothered by these things? Can you identify a time?
I think the less stressed I am is when I'm just with my closest friends and who understand me, and we can just have a good time together, and they kind of help me forget about those things, because it seems like when I'm alone I think about it more, but when I'm with people, especially my close friends.
Okay. So your friends kind of help you not to think about it as much, and they understand if you are stressed, so you feel safe. Great. Okay, I'm just taking some quick notes here about some of the ways that you've been telling me you've been able to cope with these things. So, well, as you leave here today, and we're not quite finished yet, but as you leave here today, if you were going to take some measures, we talked about a lot of things that you've done to try to help you cope with these things. What would you be doing as you leave here today to help you with this issue?
I think I can look at the different options that I have for the things I'm worried about, with my future, and maybe just spend more time with people close to me, because it's easy for me to just kind of hide out in my room and study. So being intentional about spending that extra time with people who have helped you take your mind off this stress. Excellent. Okay. That's going to be it for right now. We're just doing a brief section of our session.